Part 1 ended with France getting a goal kick. Hugo Lloris takes it and passes it to Varane. He has space ahead and carries it forward. Croatia are not pressing high. Instead, they're focusing on compacting the midfield. Varane plays to Pogba. Rakitic moves up to prevent him from turning forward. Pogba sees him come and rotates the ball to the other side with first touch. Umtiti receives and looks up. However, he has space ahead and decides to carry the ball himself. Mandzukic presses. Umtiti feels the pressure and picks up pace to beat him. Mandzukic presses aggressively. Hernandez and Matuidi dart forward to give Umtiti an option to send an overhead ball in behind. But he hesitates. Meanwhile, Mandzukic has kept running with him. Now he's close enough. He steps into his line and uses his left hand to push him. Umtiti trips. Croatia immediately break forward, but the ref whistles and declares the challenge a foul. Croatia protests, saying it was a shoulder push. However, the foul's been given nevertheless. Umtiti sets the ball and plays a short pass to Kante. Pogba realizes that Hernandez, the left back, is higher up the pitch, and so Umtiti is very wide. So he starts to drop to centre-back position himself, gets sideways and scans to check if there's a press on him from behind. Kante plays to him. Pogba receives and looks up. Matuidi tries to give option into this lane, but Modric has marked him out. Unable to find a forward option, Pogba plays it to Pavard. Perisic checks what option Pavard has on the line and presses. Pavard turns and looks up. He hears Pogba telling him to play backwards, and he does. Perisic's in the flow and runs up to press Varane. So Varane quickly plays out to Umtiti. Kante drops wide to give Umtiti a safe option on that side. Pogba goes to give an option through here. Modric has followed Kante, but now he stops to keep the midfield compact. Perisic returns to his defensive position. Umtiti plays to Kante. Matuidi drops to give option, but Modric sees him and goes to cover the lane. Notice this guy and the distance he's maintaining. He's not pressing Matuidi too tight for fear of vacating his position. However, is ready to get up on him if the ball is played there. Hernandez wants it behind. Kante sees his run and sends it, and the ball rolls out of play. That's what happens. Long vertical passes are difficult to control. The diagonal ones, however, are easier. Croatia get ready to take the throw in. Matuidi sees the free man and goes to close him down. Griezmann believes he's got Rakitic covered. Modric is standing and watching. He sees the space but isn't moving yet because the thrower is still holding the ball in one hand. And only when he brings both his hands up to the ball does Modric start to move and runs quickly after the ball's been thrown. However, Kante follows him and intercepts the ball with a jump. Ref calls the foul for high boot. Croatia restart the game with a short pass. Modric looks up for an option, but none's available, and under Giroud's press, he's forced to play backwards. Brozovic can run forward with the ball, but as a centre-back, he doesn't want to take any unnecessary chances, and is forced to turn backwards by Giroud. He's ready to give the ball to Modric. Matuidi sees it and presses. Modric makes a critical scan and sees him come. He holds the ball, inviting him to come closer, and plays out when he does. Matuidi starts returning back to his position, and though Modric tells him to play to the right, Brozovic starts to switch the ball to this side. Griezmann drops to provide cover in midfield. Rakitic carries the ball forward. Perisic wants an overhead ball behind, but Rakitic sees him too late. He knows that by the time he can set the ball to play that pass, Mbappe and Griezmann will be upon him. He rather attracts them both to him and plays out on the line. Pogba knows he has to provide cover here. Strinic takes his first touch into space. Pogba can see that it's a heavy touch. He wants to go for it, realizes that it's too far. He can't jump. He'll have to keep running backwards. Mandzukic starts moving blindside of his marker. Perisic drops to give an option here, but Pogba's too close to allow him to play that pass. Look how Pogba's not lunging into tackle but rather keeps running backwards along with him. Strinic feels Pogba's coming too fast and thinks about cutting in behind him suddenly. But Pogba slows down too and stops him from doing that. Strinic then pushes the ball forward and tries to beat him with a change of pace, but Pogba recovers and keeps up the chase. Now he wants to cut ahead of Pogba, but Pogba steps in his line and pokes the ball out for a throw-in. Strenic gets ready to take the throw. But notice how far his options are. Then suddenly they move to come into spaces. Rakitic's run from behind Mbappe attracts Pavard on him. Strenic facing this side, then suddenly turns and throws to Rakitic. Mbappe should have noticed the bouncy ball and pressed immediately, but he's slow to react and allows Rakitic the time to bring the bounce under control. Strenic waits for the ball to come to him, then notices this gap and makes a dash for it. Rakitic is slow to play into that gap, but still manages to sneak a pass through Pavard's legs. Mbappe hadn't noticed Strenic's movement and is alarmed to suddenly find him there. He gives chase. Mandzukic breaks free of Pogba's reach and turns to attack here. Strenic should have played the cross by now, but he's not been able to lift his head under pressure from Mbappe. And by the time he looks up, Mbappe's come ahead to block the cross. Ball goes out for a corner. Varane applauds the defensive work by Mbappe. Let's look at the action up close. Rakitic nutmegs Pavard. Mbappe sees Strenic appear behind him. He gives chase, forcing Strenic to keep looking down at the ball, and by the time Strenic lifts his head up, Mbappe's come ahead of him to block the cross. Croatia get ready for the corner. One player drops suddenly, creating panic and prompting two French players to follow him. Hernandez calls out, "I've got him." Matuidi turns and runs back to his position. Now Perisic drops suddenly. Matuidi deliberately gets in his way. Perisic dodges him and continues to drop. Matuidi has to turn and follow his run. But this time too, Modric decides against playing a short corner. Perisic returns to the box. Matuidi keeps following him. Notice how he jogs backwards and keeps facing the ball. Croatian players keep making darting runs to get free, but France has things under control with 4 Frenchmen marking 3 Croatians. And it's already a 4v1 here. This guy drops and then suddenly move up, trying to shake Pogba off and to attack the far post, but Pogba's got him covered. Look, he's not even looking at the ball. Modric starts. Croatians move to attack the 6-yard line. Cross comes, and Giroud jumps the highest to head it out. Kante and Rakitic chase the ball. By now, Kante knows that he'll reach it first and quickly takes a look. Kante could have cleared the ball, but thinks that he has enough time and space to pick and choose his pass. So he comes in between Rakitic and the ball and starts to turn. But he's not controlled the bounce yet, so Rakitic presses. And now Kante realizes that it would be better to clear the ball forward. But Rakitic is onto him by now. The ball bounces off him, then hits Kante on the shoulder and goes out of play. Croatia take a quick throw in. Right back goes for overlap, but Kante presses and covers that lane. Then forces the ball carrier to turn inwards, but he takes a quick turn and beats Kante. However, Kante is unrelenting. He turns and presses. But the Croatian had enough space to send a cross, and suddenly the ball's about to fall in a 2v2. This could be dangerous, but Pavard's able to head it out. It's coming to Giroud, who's in a lot of space, but Croatians are on a mission. They press. Giroud chests it onto Pogba's run, but he wasn't expecting it and has run ahead of the ball. Even the Croatian's not able to control it. Giroud charges to make up for his mistake. It was he who lost the ball, so it'll be he who'll get it back. However, the ball comes to Pogba, and he pulls a revolving door on the pressing Croatian and gets free. Pavard runs expecting a pass here, but Pogba thinks he can escape the press himself. He dribbles forward and is brought down by Rebic. Ref calls for the foul. I guess the Croatian intensity is taking the French players by surprise. See it up close. Pogba wants to run ahead himself and Rebic brings him down. Lloris gets ready to boot it long. Giroud goes for it and makes an amazing leap to win it, but it comes straight to Rakitic, who heads it back to his keeper, and he collects it comfortably. Keeper rolls the ball to right back. Griezmann presses and forces him to play it back to the keeper. Griezmann now presses the keeper, and while the centre-back's asking for it, the keeper finds it safer to play it back to the right back, who has space ahead and carries the ball forward. The right midfielder keeps moving up, dragging Matuidi with him, and thereby creating more space for the right back to keep carrying the ball forward. Modric drops, asking for the ball, but the ball carrier doesn't play to him. Another forward drops, asking for the ball in this lane. Matuidi sees him and decides to stay nearby. France doesn't want to press very high. Their game plan at the moment is rather to stifle the midfield. He plays on the line. Matuidi presses. Kante goes to cover this lane, and this leaves the Croatian with no option but to play it backwards. Griezmann had anticipated the ball to be played to Modric and was preparing for a blindside tackle on him, but it's been played to the right back. Griezmann presses and forces him to clear the ball forward quickly. Mandzukic goes for it, but Umtiti has him covered. He holds Mandzukic up and lets the ball bounce over their heads. Then goes to recover it, but it comes in the box and the keeper will collect it safely. Varane starts getting wide. Pavard moves up. Perisic starts returning back to his position. Lloris sees that Croatia is sitting deep and his two midfielders are in lot of space. He rolls the ball to Kante. Immediately, Mandzukic presses. Kante starts receiving the ball on a half turn away from Mandzukic, but as he was facing towards his own goal, Modric and Rakitic burst ahead to press him. Modric to press on Kante from blind side and Rakitic to cover his most obvious pass option. But he was too far and Kante has had the space and time to turn and look up. Modric immediately slows down. This forces Kante to delay for a split second, trying to think what to do next. He turns and tries to escape by running into that space. Now Mandzukic attacks him from blindside and nicks the ball off him. Croatians charge to gather the loose ball, and so does Matuidi. And his marker follows him, already thinking about picking his pocket should Matuidi get the ball first. However, it's Modric who reaches it first and pokes it out. Croatia break forward. Matuidi gives chase. Pavard sees that the possession has changed and starts dropping for defensive duty. He plays to Rakitic and runs forward. Matuidi keeps tracking his run. However, under Kante's pressure, Rakitic is forced to take the ball backwards. He plays to Modric. Kante presses. Modric wants to run into this space, but as soon as Kante turns to follow him there, he stops and cuts opposite to Kante's direction. Sees his teammate arriving into space and sends a right foot trivela to him. Rakitic understands that it's not for him and gets out of the way. Perisic too. Pavard starts to run, but Strenic will get to it comfortably. He collects it with a chop and looks up. Pavard folds his hands behind him. Strenic is one-on-one with him and will take him on. He drags the ball forward. Pavard gets ready to run, but he doesn't jump to tackle. He holds his position, waiting for Strenic to commit first. Then suddenly Strenic notices Perisic arriving in this space and lays off the ball to him. And Mbappe's ball watching. Neither did he drop to help Pavard, nor did he anticipate this cross to Perisic. Perisic attempts to lift it towards the far post with first touch, where two of them are waiting for it, but he misses it. Umtiti reacts quickly, clears it, and the ball goes out of play. The intensity with which Croatia has started is still catching the French by surprise, and they clearly are the better of the two in this part. Well, that brings us to an end. See you in part 3.